Hello, chocolatiers. I have a riddle for you. Which of the food cards is most important? Is it fun? Is it support? Is it money? Is it simple? Is it time? Is it food? Well, the answer is it's in the name. It's the one that says food. You're probably thinking, well, I would think time or money might be a little more important. But you know what? What's really important about this business and about helping others to succeed is getting to know them. It's not telling them about Dove, it's learning about them so you can show them how Dove can help them. You know, if you think about it, if it was just about Dove, Dove is the #1 chocolate brand in the world. 83% of the world says that chocolate is their favorite flavor. Oh my gosh. And Mars is the world's largest chocolate company. Well, with all that in mind, if it was just about Dove and our brand, you could just put an ad in the paper and people would be lined up around your house waiting to join you. But that's probably not the case, right? So it's really important that we take the time to find out about them. And then once we do, we share with them how this business can change their lives in a big way or a little way, depending on what they're looking for. And then we close. So the food card is the one that's most important. It's where you find out about their family. It's right here on the back of the card, their occupation, their outside interests, and their dreams. That's going to tell you so much. So what type of questions are you going to ask people to really learn those things? They're just really simple and common sense. Tell me a little bit about your family. Are you married? Do you have children? Do you work outside the home? Have you ever done anything in the direct selling or home party business before? Was it a good experience or a bad experience? How would your husband feel if you were to do something like this? Are your kids in other activities? If you do work outside the home, tell me what you do and what your hours are like. What type of outside interests do you have? Are you involved in sporting or arts activities with your children? Do you belong to a book club? Are you active in your church or place of worship? And tell me about your dreams. What would you do if someone dropped $500 to $1,500 in your bank at the end of every month? Would you travel? Would you pay off debt, student loans? Would your kids go to a different school? Would you live in a different house? What would you do? But explore. Don't just get a one-word answer from them. Explore it. Ask them to share and really get to know them. And then you can use one of any of my favorite 3 closes. The first one I like is called closing from the start. But without this card, it's impossible to do. If you skip this step, you can't close from the start because you don't know enough about your potential teammate and business partner to show them. But if you close from the start by asking these questions and you hear things like, how would your husband feel if you were to do something like this? Well, I don't know. Well, let me ask you this. If you were bringing in $100 to $150 each time you left the house for a party and just gone a couple of hours, do you think that would make him a little more interested and a little more supportive? If you could show him how you could take the car payment off the family's hands and only have to be out of a house maybe 3 to 4 nights a month, or 3 to 4 times a month, would that be of interest to him? Or what if you showed him that by doing this 8 to 12 times a month, going out and having fun with friends of just 2 to 3 hours at a time, that you could pay off your student debt for both of you in the next 6 months? They're going to start answering yes to those questions. You might also ask, what would you do with the money? And how long do they think it would take them? So let's say they have student debt. You say, well, if I could show you how to pay that off quicker, would that be of interest to you? Well, would $500 to $1,500 make a big difference? How long would it take to have that debt paid off if you were able to apply an additional $500 to $1,500 a month? And they might say something like, oh, we could have it done completely in 6 months. Then say, how would you feel at the end of 6 months if that debt was completely gone? Then you might ask questions about their time. How much time do you have to invest in something like this? 5 to 10, 10 to 15 hours a week, 15 to 20? The average part-time job is 10 to 20 hours, and the most common thing you'll hear is 5 to 10. And I always point people out, I'm sure they have that 5 to 10 because if they have any social media accounts, it takes at least 20 hours a week out of our schedules. So just take half of that. It doesn't even have to be consecutive hours, and figure out 1 to 2 party time slots a week, along with some time for follow-up. And I can show them how to turn that into about $500 to $1,500 a month. So throughout the conversation, as you're having with them, when you ask them on the next cards, like, what's most important to you, these cards now become the personal cards. But without this one, none of these matter. So maybe they do say money is what's most important. For a lot of people it is. That's why they're looking for something. Then you could say, if I can show you how in 5 to 10 hours to make $500 to $1,500, would that be of interest? And then you show them one party a week at $400 is $1,600. That's $480 in income right at $500. What about 6 parties a month at 35%, because now they're making a 10% bonus at $2,400, would give them $960. That's a lot of money. And then you could say, now do you see how in your time, that 5 to 10 hours that you have around your schedule, you can get that debt paid off? And think how excited your husband's going to feel. So I'm reinforcing all the things that they might have seen as obstacles as positives. So at the end, I can use my assumed close and say, well, Melissa, we can see that you have the time. You think it's a great return on your investment. You're going to have one happy husband. So let's get you started. That's our assumed close. Or you can ask the same questions, take them through and share, always feeding back to them in the conversation their reasons, their answers to their questions in response to the cards that they choose, saying things like, does going to Maui with your husband or going to Maui with your mom or your best friend sound like fun to you? Does giving people chocolate and making them smile sound like fun to you? Does traveling all over the place and hanging out with great people that smile a lot sound fun to you? Well, tell me this, then on a scale of 1 to 10, with 5 not being an option, where would you say you stand? 1 being absolutely no way, and 10 being sign me up now. Don't be shocked though when people go 10 and you get to go, well, then let's sign you up. Go back to that assumption. But the most common answers I get are 7 or 8, and sometimes 4. Those seem to be my most common. And all you have to say, no matter what the number is tell me, Jennifer, what would it take to get you from that 7 to that 10? Now you know what's standing in their way. And sometimes it's something so little, they go, well, I don't know, I'm just not sure. And say, well, you know what? The only way you're going to be sure is to give it a try. What do you have to lose? Let's do this. Then the last way is to do the exact same thing, or just ask the question at the end. Jennifer, with everything you've heard today, the money you can make in the time that you have, the way that it can get your debt paid off, and the way that this can be something that works for everyone in your family, what would keep you from joining us today? And then again, if there's anything, a lot of times they'll say, well, nothing. Well, then let's get you signed up. So now you know the answer to the riddle. The most important food card is food. Learn about each person and meet their needs. And remember, it's not about what you tell them. It's about what you know about them. So happy cocoa chatting, and remember, close the sale. You're just throwing seeds to the wind if you don't ask them to join. Make it a great day, chocolatiers. Bye-bye.